Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Mucklin with the Nurture Nature Center, and this is Science at Home. And today I come to you inside Lost River Caverns in Hellertown, Pennsylvania. This is a natural cave that was discovered in 1883. This was the site of a limestone quarrying operation. While quarrying and removing the limestone from this location, they made an opening, and they found that that opening led through a series of passageways that make up the Lost River Cavern that have been used as a source of recreation and tourism. They used to actually have dances down in here and weddings. And to this day, you can go on tours through the caverns and see some of the natural formations inside. This cave was actually made by a river moving through the ground here that slowly dissolved away the limestone to create the series of passages that we're moving through. And you can see this river right here. That crystal clear water is the water of the Lost River. It's called the Lost River because people don't know where it comes from or where it goes. There have been attempts to find out where this water reaches the surface. They've placed colored balls in the water and dyes, and no one's been able to find out where the water goes to. So that's why it's called the Lost River. The formations that you find inside of a cave are sculpted very slowly over the course of tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years, as minerals moving through the soil above our heads are carried by the water into the cave, and as they move through the cave, these minerals are deposited to create formations like these flow stones. Sometimes the formations that you see inside of a cave take on this stalactite formation. This is a pillar of minerals that clings to the ceiling. That's one way to remember what these are called. It's stuck tight to the ceiling. And as the minerals drip down the stalactite, they create this long tubular structure. When these stalactites are first forming, they actually are like a straw. They have a hollow space down their center that the water moves through. And eventually this straw builds up and becomes thicker and thicker until it can create a stalactite as impressive as this. This is called by some people the giant ear of corn, and it actually weighs over 300 pounds. It's easy to get hungry inside of a cave. We just saw the giant ear of corn, and now we're seeing cave bacon, also known as cave draperies. But these are curtains of calcium-based minerals that form along a drip line within the cave. Here's another very impressive feature within the Lost River Caverns. It's an enormous wall of flowstone. As we look at this wall, it almost looks like an enormous amount of candle wax has been dripping down from the ceiling. But this is all calcium-based minerals that have slowly been deposited on this wall through the action of water, just like the other formations that we see within the cave. So if you remember from just a few moments ago, stalactites grow down from the ceiling. Stalagmites grow up from the floor of the cave. And with enough time, sometimes stalactites will actually meet stalagmites and form a column. And here's a beautiful example of a column. So I'm standing in what I think is one of the most impressive parts of the Lost River Cavern. I'm in a chamber that's about 60 feet underground, and yet there's a space above my head about 50 feet high to the ceiling, and close to the ceiling there's actually a natural bridge, a boulder that fell many thousands of years ago and has now been cemented in place. So a lot of the rocks and minerals that form the soil beneath our feet is not actually solid. It's not completely stable. Sometimes as limestone and other easily dissolved minerals erode away and create cavities underground, if they form close to the surface or if the rock over top of them just isn't strong enough to support the cavity, you can get a cave in, and this can create a depression at the surface called a sinkhole. And I'm actually standing near two of them. There's one right below me down here, and there's one right behind me right over here. These circular depressions are sinkholes, and sinkholes can be quite dangerous. They can damage infrastructure. Buildings can be destroyed by them. They can fall into them. Cars can fall into them. People can fall into them. So there's something of a natural hazard that we face here in Pennsylvania. So this depression over here, filled with dead trees, is a wonderful example of a sinkhole. And if you look at the rock around here, this is limestone. This is a type of rock that is very easily eroded and dissolved by water. Well, I certainly enjoyed my tour of Lost River Caverns, and I really recommend that you take the tour as well. You can learn more about Lost River Caverns at their website. We'll share a link in the description. But I'm back at home now, And there's a few experiments we can do to learn more about how caves and sinkholes form. To better understand how structures like stalactites, stalagmites, and columns can form within caves, I've set up a little demonstration here, and this is also our at-home activity. This is a way for you to make your own stalactites and stalagmites at home using salt. So in order to perform this at-home activity, what you're going to need to do is get a few cups, some trays, some yarn, and lots of Epsom salt. And you're going to boil some water and then dissolve some Epsom salt into the water. And you just keep pouring the salt in until it doesn't dissolve anymore, until it's saturated with salt. And then you dip your strings into those cups of salty water and let them just sit. Water wicks down the string and it begins to drip off the ends of the strings, and every time a droplet of water falls away from the string, it leaves a little bit of salt behind, and slowly a crust of salt begins to form. And this crust of salt is very similar to the structures that form inside of caves. Every now and again you might hear a news report and see some kind of scary photos about sinkholes opening up in cities, near roads, near houses. And more often than not, when a sinkhole forms in an urban area, it's not formed naturally. Typically, urban sinkholes form when pipes break. And when a pipe breaks, water coming out of one end of the pipe might transport material through the other end of the pipe and slowly excavate a space underground. And if that space gets large enough and removes enough material underneath a crumbly surface, then you might see a sinkhole as the surface sinks into that cavity. And we can see that form as well. So Lost River Caverns is a natural cave that was made very slowly over the course of about 250,000 years as mildly acidic water slowly dissolved away limestone. And that's how most caves are made. Most natural caves around the world are found in regions rich with limestone that has been dissolved away slowly over the course of time to create a series of passageways and chambers, just like Lost River Caverns. But now I'm standing in an artificial cave. It's not really a cave at all. It's an old adit, an old mining adit that was constructed in the late 1800s to find iron ore. So although this is not a actual cave, it's a lot like a cave. It has the same kinds of conditions that you'll find within a cave. It's very damp in here. The temperature is also very stable. In this part of the world, the ground temperature a few feet below soil doesn't really change. It stays about 52 degrees year-round. And I have a thermometer with me, and it's 52 degrees in here right now. And it's 52 degrees in the summer, and it's 52 degrees in the winter. The temperature does not change. These kinds of stable conditions inside of a cave are partly what allows for the formation of the intricate structures that you'll see in a cave, like flowstones and stalactites and very unique crystals that can form inside of a cave. It's also an interesting habitat for life forms. Caves are, for example, a place where you'll find bats. There's actually a bat in this cave, and there's a small frog as well. There are many insect species that can be found inside caves as well. Here we can see a spider and some cave crickets. And there are also blind fish that live inside caves and many other amphibian species that live inside caves. There's a whole ecosystem that lives in perpetual darkness in caves around the world. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about caves and sinkholes and the ecosystems and structures that they can produce and support. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Catch you next time.